press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello children, hello everyone. Okay, I am going to start with the part of optics. So that is physical optics or wave optics. Physical optics, or in general we can also call it as wave optics. Wave optics. So okay, in the previous sessions, I hope the other part of the optics, what is that, geometrical optics or ray optics already have learnt with. So what is the other part we are having is physical optics and wave optics. So before going into the chapter or the topic, so firstly let us have some small points related to the optical phenomena which you have studied in geometrical optics, as well as what we are going to study in this particular chapter, wave optics or physical optics. See, in ray optics or geometrical optics, whatever you have studied, some physical optical phenomena like optical phenomena. See, there by considering the ray diagrams, the straight line path or rectilinear path of the light, by drawing the ray diagrams, you have studied about all the optical phenomena like reflection, refraction and dispersion. So these three phenomena you have studied there by considering the geometric that is ray diagrams. Ray diagrams in the sense by plotting the ray diagrams, right, for a source whatever you are going to take, how the reflection is going to take place, laws of reflection you have studied. Under two headings you have studied there, laws of reflection at plane surface, laws of reflection at curved surface. In depth about all those you have already studied. And similarly refraction. So what exactly the refraction phenomena is, and once again this phenomena of refraction you have studied under two headings. So what are those? Refraction at plane surface and refraction at curved surface. Two things you have studied. Okay. So and after that some other optical phenomena related to the refraction, even like total internal reflection, so how it is going to take place. So all the applications related to them, everything you have studied, and further you have studied about the dispersion, a part of refraction even we can say. So after that, inference of this refraction of light through the lens. So that is, what are the optical instruments we are having. So using this principle or the concept of refraction, right, you have studied. What are those? Simple microscope, compound microscope, and similarly telescope, astronomical telescope as well as terrestrial. Terrestrial, if it is not there, not a problem. Reflecting type of telescope you might have studied about types of what is that, optical instruments, what are all. Even the earlier syllabus, it was there eye and its defects was there, but as of now in the syllabus it is not there, but for competitive it will be extended, eye and its defects. So these are all what you have studied already from the geometrical optics or ray optics. So I told you there we have studied by taking the straight line path of the light, means rectilinear straight line path, ray diagrams we have solved, we have taken and we have solved it. So whereas coming to this physical optics or wave optics, so what we are going to interpret here or what we are going to study. So just like the optical phenomena what you have studied there, so like reflection, refraction and dispersion what you have studied there, here also under wave optics or physical optics we have to study three major phenomena which can be explained by considering only wave optics. Okay, so what exactly they are, we have to study. I will interpret all those. So mainly we have to study about three things here, interference of the optical phenomena, interference, next diffraction, interference, diffraction, and the other one is polarization of light, polarization. See, apart from reflection, refraction what you have studied and dispersion what you have studied in geometrical optics, even the light is going to undergo interference, diffraction and polarization. These three are even optical phenomena. So what exactly these three optical phenomena are? Interference, diffraction, polarization. How they are going to occur? So by what means they are going to happen? We have to study in this chapter. Okay. So before going for these three topics over there are some introduction more we have to study for this. See, remember this chapter is more of theoretical. See, this chapter is entire thing. After learning some basic things are very introduction for wave optics, what it is, and we have to study these three phenomena. That's all this chapter is all about. Just like how we have studied reflection, refraction and dispersion in depth along with optical instruments, right? Here, this complete study of interference, diffraction and polarization, along with that various theories of light we have to study. So, which made a path to study these phenomena. What exactly made a path for studying all these three, interference, diffraction and polarization. So what various theories of light we are having, what they have suggested, and which is a successful theory what we are running with today as of, right? So what are all the drawbacks of certain theories, what are all merits and demerits of different theories of light, that we have to come across. So that's all this chapter, brief introduction, what you have to remember with that. That's what we are going to study from this chapter. An outline I have mentioned. We'll see about all those. Interference means what, diffraction, polarization, what exactly they are. We are going to study it in depth. Okay. So now coming back to physical optics or wave optics. Physical optics or wave. See, I am telling you once again. This chapter is most of theoretical concepts are going to be involved. Theoretical, most of theory part is going to be involved. Calculative will be a bit less. I won't say it is not completely dry chapter. It will be, but still less. More of theoretical things will be there in the beginning. As we enter into interference, equation part we are going to have, and some calculative part we are going to get with certain problems. And if you take with a board perspective, this is so important. One numerical you are going to get, one theory question you are going to get. If they ask for 5 mark numerical, right, and they won't ask for theory over there, or if they ask for theory, they won't ask for numerical. Ray optics and wave optics together. See, if they ask a theory from ray optics for 5 marks, right, numerical they will ask from physical optics, right, and if they ask theory question from physical optics and they'll ask numerical from ray optics. So likewise the combination this chapter is going to be for 5 marks, so important chapter it is, as well as competitive perspective, right. This is so important chapter where at least 2 questions you are going to get from this end. How the geometrical optics you are going to get, optics as a whole package you are going to have, and a good number of questions over there as for competitive as well as for theory part. So that's why you need to focus more on this particular topic even, so where you can't neglect for it. Important chapter where student will not take a choice generally of this chapter. Okay. So now when we talk something about light, so what exactly the light is? Different people has different opinion on what exactly the light is. Various different scientists, right, they expected or they have expressed their own views on how the light is going to be propagating, what exactly the light is. Okay. So in that course, starting with Newton, I'll just see different various theories of light we'll study first. Theories of light. In that, different people what they have suggested, what are their drawbacks, right? Different theories what they suggest us till now. From long back, what the people have mentioned about the light, what their concern towards the light, what exactly it is. We'll study one by one. Starting with Newton, that is, wish to say Newton's corpuscular theory. Corpuscular theory. So what does Newton's corpuscular theory mentions? Corpuscular, Newton. So according to Newton, light is propagating in the form of straight line, and that too it consists of small tiny particles called corpuscles. This is the concept given by corpuscles. This is the concept given by Newton. Light consists of tiny particles called what? Corpuscles, which are traveling in the straight line path or rectilinear propagation. He has mentioned about what? Rectilinear propagation of light. Rectilinear propagation of light. Rectilinear means what? Straight line. Light always travels in the straight line path. In how it is propagating means light do consists of small tiny particles. He named them as what? Corpuscles. And he just interpreted the phenomena of light, right? Different phenomena of light he interpreted or he explained by using this concept of corpuscles what he has taken. So according to him, reflection of light, one of the phenomena of light, right? So light undergoes reflection, everyone you are aware. So why actually the light is going to be reflected when it is incidented on certain surfaces? His explanation is, see, these are all theoretical questions you can expect for competitive even. In microscopic view, if you look for this theory what it is, even though it is a failure theory, but still they'll pick up certain questions over there which according to Newton is correct. Even though it is a failure theory, they're going to pick the questions from that, be careful. So what exactly according to Newton the reflection of light? Reflection is reflection of light. Whenever the light is going to be incidented on certain surface, no doubt reflection is going to take place if it is a reflecting surface, for example. According to him, what his assumption or his view on the reflection of light is like, the corpuscles of the light which are falling onto this medium, reflecting medium, and the molecules of this medium, see carefully, corpuscles of this medium and molecules of this reflecting surface or reflecting medium will be there, there will be a reflecting the force of repulsion between these two. Which two? Corpuscles of the light and molecules of the medium where the light is getting reflected, right? There will be force of reflection, there will be force of repulsion between the corpuscles of the light and molecules of this medium, reflecting medium, hence the light is going to be reflected. That's why the corpuscles are going to be reflected back. So that's what his explanation for what reflection of light. He has given about what reflection of light. Two phenomena he explained. One is reflection, the other one is refraction. We'll see what according to Newton diffraction of light is. According to Newton, reflection of light is due to the repulsive force existing between corpuscles of the light and molecules of the medium. These corpuscles of the light will interact with the molecules of the reflecting medium and there will be force of repulsion existing between them, hence reflection has been taken place, is according to whom? Newton. We'll see whether it is correct or not, we'll rectify. What future people are further what the people has given about the assumptions of Newton and all other things we'll study. And after that, he explained even the concept of refraction. You have studied already what do you mean by refraction, right? Whenever there is change in the medium takes place for a light ray to light ray when it is propagating. If a light ray is propagating, right, whenever it suffers a change in the medium, then the light ray is going to be deviated from its path. That's what refraction, what you have studied. Yes or no? Instead of traveling in the straight line path itself, right, instead of traveling in this straight line path, why the light ray is going to be deviating from its path whenever it is going to suffer a change in the medium. When a medium change, it is going to suffer for the light ray when it is traveling. What is the reason for this light ray to deviate from its path, bend towards the normal or away from the normal? You have studied about those properties, right? So now, why exactly this is? This is because of, see, the corpuscles of this light through which the light is propagating, corpuscles of the light are going to interact with, once again, molecules of this refracting surface. Molecules of what? Refracting surface. So there will be force of attraction that is going to exist between corpuscles of the light and refracting molecules of the refracting surface. Between those two, which two? Corpuscles of the light and molecules of the refracting surface, there will be force of attraction. That's why it is going to deviate from its path. That's what Newton's explanation for what? Refraction of light. I hope you got these 2 points. These two, theoretically they are going to ask what exactly the reflection is according to Newton. In concept, comparative part they are going to ask for this. Okay, so you just have an idea of it. Reflection and refraction of the corpuscles, right, with the intervening medium, molecules of the intervening medium, whether it is reflected or refracted. So in case of reflection, corpuscles are getting reflected, and in case of refraction, corpuscles are getting attracted, force of attraction. But thing is, he has not mentioned clearly how this force of attraction, what made these corpuscles to get attracted, whether it is getting repelled or getting attracted, what just it made, how the interaction it is, he hasn't explained. It's just an assumption he made. That's what Newton's corpuscular theory is, completely to the assumption of Newton what it has been. Okay, so he hasn't completely explained reflection and refraction. Of course, the rectilinear propagation of the light we can consider what he has mentioned, that is the straight line path. The light is going to be traveling in the straight line path can be considered, but this reflection and refraction definitely light will undergo. But what exactly the Newton's explanation are incorrect. There is no such a concept of corpuscles itself. Later scientists or later people has, but people are in a blind belief for what Newton has mentioned for number of years. Remember this, for a number of years people are in a blind belief what Newton has given the assumption out there regarding the propagation of light. Different people are having different view on this light, how it is going to be propagating. So in those days nobody knows, right, how it is. As of now we are having much and much explanation how his light is propagating. We'll see all those one by one, step by step. We'll see how that randomization has been randomly, how this change in the way we thought of how the light it is going to be, right? The way how we have thought for the light, how it is, including clear explanation, right? Like practical examples or practical explanation have been given in the fourth days, whatever it has come. So this is about the Newton's corpuscular theory, remember, and he explained corpuscular theory could explain only reflection and refraction of light, but he couldn't explain other phenomena like interference, diffraction, polarization. So these three even are optical phenomena which I see. Now we have to think of reflection, refraction, interference, diffraction and polarization. If any theory could successfully explain all these five, then that is the successful theory. Not only these five, one more also it is there. Compton effect we are having, photoelectric effect you are having, even that is a part of light itself. So we will study in the coming part of this theories of light, right? I will mention at the end. And see, this session is completely of theoretical part, keep it in mind. Okay, just a minute. Okay, see, as I told you, right, completely it's of theoretical part where we'll study completely related to the theories of light. Now, what are the drawbacks of Newton's theory now? It couldn't explain reflection, refraction, it couldn't explain what? Reflection, polarization, interference and diffraction, that is the one thing. And whatever the Newton's assumption of existence of corpuscles, small particles like corpuscles is a failure. So there is no such existence of any corpuscles what Newton has mentioned, and there is no such assumption over there for light, whatever it is, whatever they have mentioned. So that is one more point you have to remember with. So now, and next comes other one, and this fellow is so important, and who has suggested Huygens. This is the one who brought some revolutionary changes, Huygens theory. See, from here on, you know, what Newton has taken, right, he hasn't considered even. So he just stated that it is completely incorrect theory. Whatever Newton's theory that has been suggested, right, it is completely an incorrect theory. And light, whatever the corpuscles concept, whatever he has mentioned, right, there is no such existence of corpuscles he has mentioned. And he stated that light propagates in the form of a wave. Light propagates in the form of a wave. And this is called generally wave theory of light. Wave theory or Huygens theory, both are one and the same, remember. Wave theory or Huygens theory. Huygens proposed this concept of wave theory of light. Light propagates in the form of wave. Okay. So light propagates in the form of wave. So what exactly propagates in the form of wave? In the form of wave. This is the concept, wave theory. He is the one who has given the origin for this concept of looking into light is going to be propagating in the form of a wave. So how come the light propagates in the form of a wave? What exactly the concept behind Huygens, what he has mentioned? And remember, he successfully explained by considering his wave theory, right? He explained the reflection of light. He explained properly reflection. He explained the refraction. He explained the refraction. He explained interference, and he explained even polarization. He explained even polarization of light. reflection, refraction, interference and polarization. All, and even one more, interference, diffraction also, sorry. Polarization not explained. Explain only interference and diffraction. We will see what is that even. Diffraction. He successfully explained using his concept like reflection, refraction, interference and diffraction. But he couldn't explain polarization of light. So what is this polarization? I'll explain at the end. Polarization was not explained by Huygens. Keep it in mind. I'll explain this term. Maybe it may be new for you, the terminology, polarization. So I'll explain that concept of polarization in optics, what it is. Might be in electrostatics, you have studied what is polarization. That is polarities, how we are going to have. In case of the dielectrics, you might have studied. That is quite different from what you are going to study here. This polarization in case of wave optics. We'll come back. I'll explain in this session, or probably in the other session. We'll see based on the time being. So I'll explain that part. So reflection, refraction, interference, and diffraction. So all these all four phenomena was successfully explained by Huygens. I haven't come across what is Huygens theory yet. I'll explain. But you just remember what is the success of this theory is Huygens successfully mentioned that light propagates in any medium in the form of what? A wave. Light propagates in all the directions in the form of what? A wave. That is assumption of what? Huygens. And then he explained by considering his wave theory of light, right? He explained reflection, refraction, interference and diffraction, but failed to explain polarization. One is a big drawback of this Huygens wave theory is what? Couldn't explain polarization of light, what it is. So then what exactly this Huygens wave theory is? What are his assumptions? How come a light propagates in the form of a wave when you are going to observe? Right? A rectilinear propagation, okay, straight line path it is considered, but how come the light is going to be propagating in the form of a wave? So how it is possible? So that we'll study. He has given two principles. So what exactly those two principles are? We have to see. According to Huygens, and he made one basic assumption here. Everywhere in any medium the light is propagating, right? It propagates, light propagates, right? With respect to an ether medium, he has given one concept of ether. Means with respect to which the light is propagating. He has given the concept of ether medium. Light is propagating in anywhere in the universe you take, right? There should be some reference frame, with respect to which the light is propagating. He has given the concept of what? Ether medium. Ether medium, remember. E-T-H-E-R, ether medium. There is a medium that is going to exist for this light to propagate somewhere, anywhere in the universe, right? If you are going to consider, there will be existence of an ether medium with respect to which the light is going to be propagating. Okay. So, but later in the course of studies, two people, remember these two actually, Michelson and Morley. Michelson and Morley. This is important question what they are going to ask in between interpret. Michelson and Morley, they have conducted an experiment to determine speed of light. To determine speed of light. To determine speed of light, they have conducted an experiment. Which two people? Michelson and Morley. These two people disagreed or disproved, or they have not, whatever Huygens assumption of ether medium is a wrong concept. There is no such existence of an ether medium in the universe. Was disproved by whom? Michelson and Morley. These two people have disproved that there will be no such existence of, or these two people have shown that there will be no existence of ether medium. Remember, this Michelson and Morley experiment is meant to determine the speed of light in vacuum. That is 2.998 in 10 power 8, what the value we are studying has been given by these two people, Michelson and Morley. They have conducted an experiment. Michelson and Morley experiment in higher studies, we are supposed to study that. Okay, so to determine the speed of light, they have conducted it by, when they are conducting that experiment, no, if they are considered that ether medium, whatever the values practically they are getting is not in agreement with the theoretical values what they are getting. Okay, so that's why, so finally they made a small conclusion that Huygens assumption of existence of ether medium in the universe is not present, or it is not a valid statement they have given. So that means there will be no existence of such ether medium in the universe. Okay, just keep this point in the mind. Okay, so that is one more drawback of this Huygens theory. So what are these assumptions then? I told you, as this Huygens has given two statements or two principles. Generally we used to call them as Huygens principles. For 2 marks, this is very, very important. Keep it in mind. I state and explain Huygens principle, they'll ask, or state Huygens principles, Huygens principle of wave theory of light, they'll ask, or Huygens wave theory. What those theory is? So he has given the concept of wavefront. So what is the concept of wavefront? I'll explain. Using the concept of wavefront, he has given two principles. What those two principles? We have to study. Wavefront, this is new concept what Huygens has given. By considering the concept of wavefront only, he completely explained his wave theory of light. So what is this wavefront? According to Huygens, see, the light propagates in all, if I am having a point source for example, this light is going to propagate light in all the directions, or the light travels throughout in all the directions in the form of waves. He has mentioned light propagates in the form of what? Waves, no doubt. And what he has mentioned is throughout the source, light is going to emit its radiations, or it is propagating in all the directions. Point source if I am going to consider. Now, if I am going to consider locus of all the points which are in phase. So what is that concept? So if I am going to consider this what? In phase, these are the, after some time I am going to switch on the light for example. I have switched on the light. After certain time, if I am going to consider locus, locus, what is locus, right? Points which are going to be considered over there, set of points which are going to be considered in phase. This is the concept, remember. I will explain once again what is phase in the coming points we are going to study. Phase, what do you mean by phase? Locus of all the points which are in phase. Phase gives position of the particle and the direction of the particle in its motion. Whenever it is moving, right, where exactly the particle is going to be present is going to be studied by in waves also in first year. In waves, simple harmonic motion you have studied, y equals to a sin of omega t plus phi will write. What is phi there? Phase difference or phase of that particular simple harmonic wave which is propagating. That is what phase is. Okay. So if I am going to consider locus of all the points which are in phase after it has been switched on, if I am going to consider somewhere at a point, if I am going to take after certain time, which are all the points which are in phase. If I take this part of the wave, right, source, this what? This is what a wavefront is, locus of all the points which are in phase for a particle where it is going to exhibit some light. So if this is the point source which I have taken locus of all the points which are in phase. Remember, what is the phase difference between any two points on this? See, this is called wavefront. What do you call this one as now? Wavefront. Remember this. What do you mean by wavefront? Locus of all the points for a point source which are in phase. Locus of all the points which are in phase for a source of light is said to be what? A wavefront. Understood? So I will take all these points. These are all the points which are in phase. In phase means what? So all these particles have traveled the same distance by the time by reaching these particular points. So such type of locus, if I combine all the locus of all the points, right, we will get what? Wavefront. This is called primary wavefront. Remember this. What do you call this one as? Primary wavefront. Remember, all the points will be in phase. What is the phase difference between any two points on this wavefront? 0. Remember this. Phase difference between any two points on the wavefront is how much it is? 0. Once again, an important theoretical question. Phase difference between any two points on this wavefront will be equals to how much? 0. Keep this point in mind. Just have an idea of it. Right? So locus of all the points which are in phase are going to be taken as what? Wavefront. Now, and that too, this is which type of wavefront he is telling? Primary wavefront. It is called what? Primary wavefront. So now, what exactly the principles are? The first principle is like a light is going to emit radiations in all the directions, right? And that concept itself he named it as what? A wavefront. That is the first principle what you have to remember with. And second principle is like each and every point on this primary wavefront is the source of secondary wavelets. This is what a primary wavefront we are having, right? I will take each and every point on this primary wavefront. Each and every point on the primary wavefront is the source of what? Secondary wavelets. So what do you call this one as now? These are all wavelets. Wavelets. His explanation for why we are going to see the light, even there is an obstacle here. See, the second principle gives the explanation for if light, if I am going to switch on a light for example, right, light is propagating. If there is an obstacle here, how come you are going to see some light over here in this region also? That is only because of this wavelets concept. That is the second principle what he has given. First principle is the concept of wavefront. Each and every source of light will emit the light in all the directions in the form of what? Wavefronts. That is the first principle. And second principle is what? Every point, each and every point on the primary wavefront is the source of wavelets. These are called secondary wavelets. Remember this. What do you call that as? Secondary wavelets. Each and every point on the primary wavefront is the source of secondary wavelet. If I am going to take the envelope of all these secondary wavelets, this is the envelope of all these wavelets, we used to call it as secondary wavefront. What do you call that as? Secondary wavefront. Secondary wavefront. What is secondary wavefront? Envelope of all the secondary wavelets, or generally wavelets also you can call. Envelope of all the wavelets, we used to call it as what? Secondary wavefront. Okay. So each and every point on the primary wavefront, see, once again they are going to emit the light in all the directions. So that he named them by the concept of what? Wavelets. If I take the envelope of all these wavelets, that itself we used to call it as what? Secondary wavefronts. And the secondary wavefronts are the reason why we are going to see some light even in the shadow region. If there is some shadow, for example, you take completely a closed room, there is a small hole through a window, let me say, light is coming out. See, if light is going to take the straight line path itself, only through the region where the light is going to be incidented, or through the small hole or that window, whatever the light is coming, only in that region you need to see the brightness. Okay, so if the light is taking only the rectilinear propagation, of course, right? If that doesn't have the property of bending of light, what do you call that as? The secondary wavefront gives the origin or the concept for bending of light. So that is diffraction, what we used to say. Earlier when I have mentioned the topics interference, diffraction I told. Diffraction is a phenomena where light ray bends into its geometrical shadow. If light is coming through this point, like this for example, okay. So because of this objection, there should be completely darkness in this region. There should not be any light behind this. Somewhere if I am going to take a screen here, there should not be any light. But still you can see some brightness in this region because of what? That bending property of the light. What do you call that as? Diffraction. Encroachment of light into its geometrical shadow, we used to call it as diffraction. You will see that. We will study that. Once again as a subheading of this topic, right? We will study what is diffraction. In the coming days we will discuss that. Okay, so the concept of bending of light has been originated from this concept of a secondary wavefront. All we are seeing the light, even though even if the room is completely closed, but still we are able to see some light over there in all throughout the region. Reason for that is what? That is a concept because of what? Diffraction of light. And the reason for diffraction of light is due to secondary wavefront concept. What is that? Each and every, see, where the light, this is the point source, for example, from this, you can think it as a sun, it is originating. All these light rays are reaching the earth, for example. So there is a formation of a primary wavefront. There is a formation of what? A primary wavefront. Like light coming through the window. Exactly where the window is present, light is incidented there, that will be what? Primary wavefront is going to be incidented there. But beside that window region, right, beside exactly that to the right or to the left of that region, you can see some brightness. That brightness is because of these secondary wavelets, what they are going to be, or superposition of the secondary wavelets is what? Secondary wavefront. Because of the secondary wavefronts, you are going to have you're going to have the concept of what? Diffraction. This leads to what? And the concept of primary wavefront leads to interference. Keep it in mind. Interference, once again, when the light, two light waves are going to be superposed or interfered or falls one over the other. Superposition theorem you have studied in waves. The same concept here once again. There are some rules to be added for it. So in order to take this interference to happen. So when two or more light waves, right, they are going to be superposed or falls one over the other. So that source light, two waves we are talking, right, the two waves should be from primary wavefronts. Keep it in mind when you are studying about what? Interference. Interference phenomena will take place only when two primary wavefronts are going to be superposed. And diffraction phenomena will take place when a primary with secondary or with secondary may superpose to form what? Diffraction phenomena. Remember these 2 points, and I will come back to that point. Once again I will recall or I will ask for it. The same thing. What is that? Interference will take place only due to the superposition of which type of wavefronts? Primary wavefronts. Due to the superposition of primary wavefronts, interference will take place, and diffraction phenomena, it is due to the superposition of a primary and a secondary, or a secondary and a secondary wavefront. Keep this point in mind. So that is the concept of wavefront, what it has been given by whom? Huygens. He assumed and he has proved even. What are those he has proved? Light undergoes reflection, refraction, right, and interference and diffraction. By considering the wave theory of light only, we have to, he has explained all these three: reflection, refraction, interference and diffraction. We have to study in depth about all those points in this chapter. And he has proved even how this laws of reflection and refraction have been. You know, laws of reflection means, what is that? I have studied in geometrical optics. Laws of reflection is what? Angle of incidence is equals to always angle of reflection. We have to prove that by considering the Huygens theory. That is very important 5-mark question. I am going to explain that. And then after that one more, what is that? Laws of refraction if you take, what is it? N1 sin I1, N1 sin I equals to constant, that is product of refractive index of the medium, and sine of angle of incidence in that medium remains constant for any pair of medium the light ray is propagating. That is n sin I equals to constant, that is that you name them as what? Snell's law. Sin I by sin R equals to refractive index you have written. But that is not all the time sin I by sin R equals to refractive index. You have to remember product of refractive index of a medium and sine of angle of incidence in that medium will be constant for any pair of media the light ray is going to be propagating. Okay, so that is Snell's law what you have studied. So that even once again we need to prove here using what? Huygens theory of light. Laws of reflection and laws of refraction we have to prove by considering what? Huygens wave theory of light. So in the coming session, or probably we will see if it completes now itself, I will discuss now itself, or in the coming session we will study about that laws of reflection and refraction, how Huygens has explained. So this is about all about the Huygens theory of light. So I will conclude. This is important. I have stretched more on Huygens theory. Reason is this is so important. So some points what you have studied. So firstly, Huygens has given the concept of wavefront, through which he has mentioned that light is propagating in the form of a wave. He has given the concept of what? Wavefront, and he has mentioned that light propagates in the form of a wave. And again, by considering this concept of wavefront, he has given two statements or two principles. What are the Huygens principles? Light propagates in the form of locus of all the points which are in phase, right? Light exhibits, light emits radiations in throughout all the directions, right? And that concept of wavefront what he has mentioned. And second principle is what? Each and every point on the primary wavefront is the source of secondary wavelets, and the envelope of secondary wavelets is itself, we should call it as what? A secondary wavefront. How that light is going to be distributed even through, to the other places even, or that leads for the concept of diffraction or bending of light. So that is the second principle what Huygens has given. And remember clearly he has mentioned about the concept of wavefront. Wavefront means I told you, each and every point, locus of all the points which are in phase if I am going to take, right? If I am going to join all this locus of all the points, right, we are going to get what? A wavefront. Okay. And after that what? That's what about Huygens theory. And he successfully explained what 4 phenomena explained there? reflection, refraction, interference and diffraction, but he failed to explain polarization of light. Okay, so that is one big drawback. And one more drawback of Huygens theory is assumption of existence of ether medium. What Huygens has assumed of existence of ether medium. Each and everywhere in this universe, the light propagates with respect to a particular medium, just like how atmosphere we are having here on the earth, right? If you go for space, he told that there will be existence of ether medium in the space, he has mentioned. He has assumed that. But later on, two people have disproved that existence of the ether medium? Michelson and Morley. Michelson and Morley are two people who disagreed or they haven't considered or they disproved that there will be existence of ether medium. Okay, so that means there will be no existence of the ether medium has been proved by Michelson and Morley by conducting which experiment? In order to determine the speed of light. So this is all the theory about the Huygens theory of light you have to remember. Okay, so drawbacks, what are the merits, right? And where it by taking which concept it has been explained, what phenomena you have to remember. So this is all about the Huygens theory of light. So now as I mentioned about the wavefront, now itself I will mention what are the types of wavefronts we are having before going for the next theory of light. See, we are lagging with polarization of light here. So we can't say that Huygens theory itself is a successful theory. We are all running with Huygens theory itself. You can't say now. Why? Because it is lagging with what? Of course, it explained interference, reflection, refraction, diffraction and polarization. But it failed to explain what? Polarization. So we are lagging with that. Some other person has come out to explain that concept of polarization. Who has come out to explain that and what exactly that concept is? We will see. Before going for that, as I have mentioned the concept of wavefront here, right? So let me mention what are the types of wavefronts we are having. Types of wavefronts, important, 2 marks they will ask for it. What are the different types of wavefronts we are having? Types of wavefronts. One is plane wavefront, plane wavefront, plane wavefront. The other one, spherical wavefront, spherical wavefront, spherical wavefront, and the other one is cylindrical wavefronts, cylindrical wavefronts, cylindrical wavefronts. Plane wavefront. What is plane wavefront there? Plane wavefront means what? Spherical wavefront means what? Cylindrical wavefront means what? So you just have a look over that. Spherical wavefront means if I am having a point source, for example, see carefully. What Huygens has mentioned, if there is a point source, if you are having, it emits light in all the directions. If I consider locus of all these points, right, how it is in the form of a sphere, right? If it is a point source, throughout it is going to emit all the light. Like if I am going to consider all the points, it is not just a circle, a number of circles I can draw, it forms what? A sphere. The surface which is going to be formed because of this envelope of all the locus of all the points in the space due to a point source is what? A sphere. That's how a spherical wavefront is going to be formed. What do you call this wavefront as? Spherical wavefronts. How spherical wavefronts are going to be formed? What is the origin for spherical wavefront means? Point source will form the spherical wavefront. Keep this point in mind. Which type of sources are going to form the spherical wavefronts? Point source. A point source of light is going to form the spherical wavefronts. This is what about what? Spherical wavefronts. Now what do you mean by this plane wavefront? Plane wavefront means what? This is what the point source I am having, right? Initially, which type of wavefronts are going to be formed due to point source? Like this. Due to this point source, no doubt, spherical wavefronts are going to be formed. If I take for the larger distance, somewhere at this point if I take, is it spherical here now? It is almost a straight line. This is what the plane wavefront is. What do you call this one as? A plane wavefront. It is a straight line like this. This is what a plane wavefront is. Plane wavefront is almost linear. How a plane wavefront we are going to get means? A point source at infinite distance. Remember this point. Plane wavefronts are going to be formed by a point source at infinite distance. By point source at infinite distance. Infinite distance will form which type of wavefronts? Plane wavefronts. Point source at some finite distance is going to form spherical wavefronts. A point source at infinite distance, somewhere sun we are having somewhere at infinite distance if you take approximately, right. So here whatever the light wavefront we are going to get due to that will be what? A plane wavefront. Okay. So likewise the plane wavefronts are going to be. It's just a straight line. Somewhere the point source will be at infinity. We are going to get the straight line like this. This is which type of wavefront it is? Plane wavefront. And one more we are having is what? Cylindrical wavefront. What is cylindrical wavefront? Linear sources are going to produce the cylindrical wavefronts. Cylindrical wavefront, what is that? Shape of that wavefront will be in the form of a cylinder. Like a narrow hole I am having. Let's say this is a narrow hole. The entire is a building. A small hole I am having. You make some light to pass through it. Whatever the light you are going to get will be a cylindrical wavefront. Okay. So like in a projector in theaters, movie theaters, projector whatever we are having, right, somewhere at the top it will be, right, whatever the light coming from that will be a cylindrical wavefront, you can say. Understood? So what is the source for this cylindrical wavefront means? What is the source? Linear source. Linear source is going to produce a cylindrical wavefronts. Linear source is going to produce some cylindrical wavefronts. In the form of the cylinder, the light is going to be like this. Likewise, the wavefronts are going to. If the wavefronts are in the form of a cylindrical shape due to a linear source, right, we are going to have which type of wavefront? Cylindrical wavefronts. Keep this point in mind about what? Cylindrical wavefronts. So this is about different types of wavefronts what you are having. Plane wavefront, how it is formed? Due to source at infinity, a plane wavefront is going to be formed. Point source will produce spherical wavefronts. Linear sources are going to produce what? Cylindrical wavefronts. You just have an idea of this concept of wavefront, what exactly it is, types of wavefronts. And let me extend my concept of this wavefront to one more point here, like, hope you are all getting right. Fine. Next, I am having a prism. Hope you all studied about the prism in depth, more you have studied. So a plane wavefront is going to be incidented on this prism. Which type of wavefront I can expect at the output now? This is what a plane wavefront, see, this is what a plane wavefront is going to be incidented like this. Okay. So no doubt it undergoes refraction. Once again remember, a plane wavefront itself you are going to get at the out. When a plane wavefront is incidented, which type of wavefront you are going to get? A plane wavefront itself. Okay. So converging lens I am having. Converging lens, or we can also call it as what? Recall, convex lens. When a plane wavefront is incidented on a convex lens, which type of wavefront we are going to get? See, here plane wavefront is incidented. What happens to the ray of light after it has been passed through this? They are going to converge, means what is happening here? So the light rays are getting converged at this point. So means they are getting spherical in shape, right? Spherical wave. A plane wavefront incidented on a convex lens will form which type of wavefronts? Spherical wavefronts. So that's what, like this. They are getting converged. A plane wavefront incidented on, this is plane wavefront, I will say. Remember that. Simply drawing the diagram, and if you won't write, no use. Plane wavefront, if it incidented on the convex lens, which type of wavefront is going to be formed? Spherical wavefronts we are going to get. We are going to get spherical wavefronts. Whereas in the above case, when a plane wavefront is incidented on a prism, plane wavefront is incidented on a prism, okay, a plane wavefront itself we are going to get on the other side, plane wavefront itself. I won't write generally this much on the board. If it is the regular class, I would have asked you to write down all this copy. But here, everyone, as a common you are viewing, right? That's why you have to write. Okay, a plane wavefront we are incidented over there, right? A plane wavefront itself we are going to get. And a plane wavefront we are going to incidented on the convex lens. Which type of wavefront we are going to get? A spherical wavefront we are going to get. So this is all the concept of wavefront. And Huygens theory what we have studied. Huygens what he has explained the concept of wavefront by taking the concept of wavefront, right? How he has explained the theory of light, how it is. So we are in need of proving two points over there. reflection of light, refraction of light, laws of reflection and laws of refraction using Huygens principle we have to prove that. So that we will see. Before going for that, see this all the scenario about Huygens theorem you have to remember. So whenever you are going to put some questions on this theories of light, you should have some idea on it. Okay, Newton's theory we have studied and Huygens theory we have studied. I told this topic is completely dry, only the theoretical part will be more. You have to remember. I hope you are all getting that. Okay. So in simple words, in simple way how it can reach to the students I am mentioning. I hope if you are here I would have asked it repeatedly whether you got or not. But here we can't ask it for it, right? But still you have to follow. Okay. So the theories of light. And now next person who has come is Maxwell's electromagnetic wave theory. What is that? Maxwell's electromagnetic wave theory. Electromagnetic wave theory. What is this? Once again we are talking about the wave theory here. What is this? What he has mentioned. He agreed with Huygens' concept of wave theory of light. He considered even whatever Huygens has given is completely, he agreed with Huygens all the two principles what he has given. Whatever Huygens' explanation for interference diffraction, reflection and diffraction are completely agreed by Maxwell also. He also agreed with that. After that, in extension, but he failed. Who failed? Huygens failed to explain what? Polarization of light. Polarization as well as even photoelectric effect, Compton effect are also failed by using the Huygens theory of light. Maxwell has taken up the task of explaining the concept of polarization. Remember, and his success is explaining in all those four along with what is that? Reflection, refraction. Reflection was explained, refraction also explained, right? And then diffraction, also interference. All these three as usual along with Huygens theory, right? He successfully explained even this Maxwell theory, electromagnetic wave theory could successfully explain these three. Along with it can explain polarization also. Polarization can also be explained using the Maxwell's electromagnetic wave theory. But what it couldn't explain? It couldn't explain photoelectric effect. What is that? Photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect. And then it couldn't explain Compton effect. Compton effect. Compton effect. And one more is black body radiations. Black body radiations. Black body radiations. Or generally, if you remember, for these two, it is enough. Failures of this electromagnetic wave theory is this theory couldn't explain these two phenomena. What are those? Photoelectric effect and Compton effect. Later course of study, right? Who has explained that? That is next theory of light. These two phenomena are going to be explained by considering the particle nature of light. These are all we are talking about what? Wave nature of light. By considering the wave nature, these five phenomena can be explained very clearly, and these two phenomena can be explained by considering the particle nature of light. Other person, generally Planck's quantum theory, I will mention that here itself. Planck's quantum theory was successful in explaining these two phenomena by considering quantum theory, right? According to that, light propagates in the form of small particles, photons, in the form of what? Photon. Concept of photon has been given by this quantum theory of light. Quantum theory successfully explained this photoelectric effect and Compton effect. And photoelectric effect, there is an experimental proof for that also, that is Einstein's photoelectric equation. Einstein has given experimental proof even for what? Theoretical proof for what? Photoelectric this particle nature of light. For that, experimental proof is photoelectric effect. Okay. So even Compton effect can also be considered by considering what? Particle nature of light. I will come back to that point later. Now, coming back to this electromagnetic wave theory. What is this electromagnetic wave theory? What exactly Maxwell has mentioned about? So Maxwell's concept is concept of electromagnetic wave theory. What it is? Just a minute. Okay, so I'll wind up this session with this explanation of electromagnetic wave theory, and then we'll see the remaining in the next session. So now, no need to bother much about these four, right? So, but this, what is this polarization? This is very important. I'll explain here, so that when we are studying this topic in depth after interference and diffraction, when we are studying about polarization, you need to have complete idea on this, what exactly polarization is. Here itself I will give some idea. No doubt Huygens, all the explanations about the wave theory, concept of wavefront, wave, how it is propagated in the form of wave, everything has been clearly accepted by Maxwell, but his view for this light wave is completely different. He told light, it is propagating in the medium in two perpendicular directions. What do you mean by wave exactly? Hope in wave optic, waves in first year you have studied already. Probably if I have explained I would have, or else you might have known what exactly a wave is. Generally you will say wave is a disturbance created in a medium. So what exactly the disturbance in the medium is? What exactly the wave is? In the microscopic view, if you see, what is a wave? What is a wave exactly? Disturbance created in a medium is called a wave, we'll say. So what is the disturbance? What exactly it is? In first year chapter, you know, wave optics, waves where we have studied, we have classified waves into different types. I have clearly explained. We have seen that, we have studied that in first year. What is that? Waves have been classified into majorly how many types? One is what? Mechanical waves, electromagnetic waves, and matter waves. There are three types of waves in the universe. What are those? Mechanical waves, electromagnetic waves, and matter waves. Mechanical waves have been classified into two types. They are transverse waves and longitudinal waves, we have studied in the first year. Mechanical waves, there are two types. What are those? Transverse and longitudinal waves. You have studied all the phenomena related to transverse and the longitudinal wave. Longitudinal wave means sound wave, you have taken example and you have studied. Doppler effect, right? Organ pipes like open organ and closed organ pipes, standing waves, everything, that is the concept of longitudinal waves. On a string, stretched string, how the vibrations you are going to get. So that is the concept of transverse waves. That together transverse and longitudinal waves, we used to call it as what? Mechanical waves. What exactly the mechanical waves means? There is a requirement of material medium for the propagation of wave. If there is a requirement of material medium for the propagation of the wave, then that wave is said to be mechanical wave, we have studied. Under two headings, transverse and longitudinal. Transverse means, what is that wave exactly means? When a disturbance is created, particles in the medium start to vibrate. For example, I am speaking here, right? I am speaking means molecules which are present in this atmosphere, right? I am going to push them. I am going to apply some force so that they will move forward. And will they move like that only to your ear? Or what phenomena is taking place means, when I am going to push, I am going to suppose to give some energy for the molecules which are present in this region. So they will take that energy and they will move forward. They will transfer the energy to the other molecule, and once again these initial molecules will come back to its original position. Continuously when I am speaking, you are pushing this, they will transfer the energy and they will come back again. So this oscillating, this is, we are making disturbance, we are disturbing here what? Molecules of the medium are getting disturbed. Molecules of the medium are getting disturbed, that's what disturbance, that's what a wave, this propagation, this oscillatory motion, right? Once again it is to and fro motion we are having for these particles in the medium. I hope you got this point, right? So like that, if see, instead of oscillating, whatever I am going to give energy here, right? If these particles completely move to your ear, for example, they are reaching your ear, for example, energy, that is sound energy or hearing, right? If you are going to, if these all molecules will move to your ear means, there will be no molecules present in this region again to transfer the energy. Got the point? So that's why only energy transfer will take place from one molecule to other molecule in case of the wave propagation. That's what transfer of energy takes place in case of wave propagation. Instead of complete movement of the energy will not, energy will not be carried out by the same particle from one point to the target region. Energy transfer will take place from one particle to other part. If I speak louder, they will transfer for the longer distance and they will transfer. That's why the sound is going to be audible for a long distance. If I speak smaller, right, if I am going to speak smaller, what happens? Only for the smaller distance they are going to transfer the energy. So this is the concept of energy wave exactly. Disturbance means you are making that particles in the medium to vibrate. Keep this point in mind. I want this view for you to have an idea to explain polarization. If you don't have that, polarization cannot be understood at all. It may take bit time even, I can't stop in between, 10 minutes are left out for, I think 5 minutes are left out for hour, but still, you please, I'll extend it even 5 more minutes to explain this polarization, please listen. So, see like, when I'm going to continue, like a disturbance, that is longitudinal wave will say, when particles are vibrating parallel to the propagation of wave. I'll put some water, stone on the surface of the water, what happens? Molecule of that water molecule, right, gains some energy whenever you are going to drop the stone, molecule will move down, transfer the energy to the other, and once again it will come back to its original position. Now the particles are vibrating like this, wave is going to be propagating in the forward direction, right. If the particles in the medium are vibrating perpendicular to the propagation of wave, this is how the particles are vibrating, this is how the wave is moving, that's why particles are vibrating perpendicular to the propagation of wave, that's why it is said to be transverse wave. So like that, he has given the concept of who? This person, Maxwell, has given the concept of electromagnetic wave. I told 3 types of waves, right? Mechanical waves, till now I have explained what is that. Same concept of motion of that particles in the medium itself, here also we are going to study. Electromagnetic wave means, wave means particles in the medium will start to vibrate. How they are going to vibrate, based on that you are going to classify the types of waves. Matter waves we are having again, so that will in the course of study of in the future. So like some at a modern physics we will study what exactly the matter waves are. I think in chemistry you might have come across de Broglie wavelength for matter particles. So that is all the concept of matter waves. So like electron as a particle, you know, but even that also can be traveled, and we can find out some wavelength for that particle. So they are called what? Matter particles. That in the future course we will study, and we will talk about electromagnetic wave. So what exactly, according to Maxwell, an electromagnetic wave is? According to Maxwell, an electromagnetic wave means I told you wave is making the particles in the medium to vibrate. How the particles in the medium are vibrating according to him means, an electromagnetic wave is one where particles in the medium are vibrating in 2 mutually perpendicular planes. In 2 mutually perpendicular planes means one particle it may be vibrating like this. See, with respect to this line, let's say light is propagating in this direction, one is in this plane, means in this board one particle is going to be vibrating like this, and also one more plane that is perpendicular to this, I will take this one as the plane. Now particles are also vibrating into this board and out of the board, into this board and out of the board like this. One plane is this one and one more plane is this one, right, like this. The particles are vibrating in this plane as well as in this plane. In 2 mutually perpendicular planes, the particles of the medium are propagating, and he named them as electric field and magnetic field vectors. What he named them as? Electric field, and one more is what? Magnetic field. See, this is not the constant electric field, this is changing electric field what we are having. If electric field keeps on changes, in turn it is going to produce some magnetic field. That's what we have studied in moving charges and magnetism. A moving charge is going to produce some magnetic field, right? So likewise, change in the field is going to produce some magnetic field. If electric field vectors are vibrating in this plane, then magnetic field vectors are going to be vibrating perpendicular to this plane. Vibration of the particles of that medium, how they are vibrating, that itself is to call it as an electromagnetic wave. Keep this point in mind. So now an electromagnetic wave, in case of electromagnetic wave is propagating in a medium, if I say, there the particles are going to be vibrating in 2 mutually perpendicular planes, isn't it? So one is electric field vector we told, the other one is what? Magnetic field vector. If electric field vector is in this plane of the board, in this plane of the board means it is just in this board, they are going to be moving like this, they are vibrating like this with respect to this point. And one more, magnetic field is into the board, they will go into the board and they will come out of the board, they will go into the board and they will come out of the board like this. This is magnetic field vector and this is electric field vector. So if the particles of the medium are vibrating in two mutually perpendicular planes, then the direction of velocity of light is perpendicular to both the planes. This is the direction of light. See, this light, this is what the direction of light is. Direction of light is perpendicular to both the planes. Means it is perpendicular to this motion as well as it is, if it is taken right into the board and out of the board, magnetic field vector, for that also it will be perpendicular, right? So in all these three, electric field vector, magnetic field vector and propagation of light, all three in mutually perpendicular directions. So for an electromagnetic wave, now I will define an electromagnetic wave. See here carefully, listen. An electromagnetic wave is the propagation of a wave in a medium in such a way that particles in the medium are vibrating in two mutually perpendicular planes, in which the propagation of light will be perpendicular to both the magnetic and electric field vectors. Propagation of light is perpendicular to both magnetic field and electric field vectors. That itself is to call it as an electromagnetic wave. Hope you got this. Now particles are confined to oscillate in two planes here. If you understood the concept of wave, what I have mentioned before this topic, right? Just now I have mentioned what is a wave. There I told particles how they are vibrating, disturbance created, right? So here, not in one plane they are going to be vibrating, in two planes they are going to be vibrating, two perpendicular planes. Now, coming back to that's what about the electromagnetic wave. That's what an electromagnetic wave is. I hope you got it, whether you are in front of me or whether you are virtually or there. I hope you got reached these points over there. If you have understood this concept, polarization is nothing. This particular point what I have mentioned about two planes, how the particles are vibrating, if you are aware, then polarization is very nothing. I am telling you once again, if it is not, if this concept is not known, polarization itself looks like something hectic for you. Okay, so now coming back, what exactly the polarization is? Polarization means, see, polarization is nothing but somehow if I am going to remove one of the plane of vibration, now you know light is propagating, in the sense electromagnetic wave, if you are having particles of the medium are vibrating in which, how many planes? Two planes. Somehow I am going to remove one of the plane. Means, let me say this is the perpendicular component, right? If I am going to remove this perpendicular component somehow for that light, now remaining light is propagating in only one plane, right? Or the particles of the medium are confined to vibrate only, confined to what? One plane. Then that light we used to call it as polarized light, and that phenomena of obtaining that polarized light we used to call it as polarization. I just don't want the light to propagate in or vibrate in two perpendicular planes. I want to make the light to vibrate confined to a single plane, any of the plane. You try to eliminate one of the plane. Eliminate one of the plane in which the particles are vibrating. Then that light in which it is going to be vibrating confined to the single plane, right? So that light we used to call it as polarized light. The process of elimination of this or making this light to propagate or light to vibrate confined to what? One plane itself we used to call it as polarization. The phenomena of making that light to vibrate confined to the single plane we used to call it as what? Polarization. It's a concept. How we can make that light to illuminate is we are going to study in this topic. At the end, I told three headings: interference, diffraction, polarization. In depth you have to study, right? So there we are going to come across polarization, what it is. There we will study what exactly the polarization is and how what methods we are having. But the method of reflection, refraction, right? And pile of plates we are having, different methods we are having, how we can obtain this polarized light. Sir, why we need to eliminate that? What is the use of, what is the need for it? Means they are having its advantages. That polarized light itself, we are having some advantages over there. That's what. So for some we'll see that applications when I will mention, right, about polarization. I will tell you in crystal structure when you are going to study about the crystals, right? So this polarized light will play a very important role. That's why it is very important over there. So anyway, this what about polarization, and I hope we have done with the time, or else just a minute. Okay, so we are done with the time. And the other one, what is that? Quantum theory of light. Just I will mention that in the next session. With that, I will just wind up the session for today. We will see the remaining in the next session. Thank you.